You mentioned the Fed being able to control interest rates, Dr. Paul, and that kind of makes me question if the Fed is going to be able to control price inflation through policy.
Well, they always try to, and the day that I sort of had an awakening in 1971 when Nixon closed the gold window, he put on wage and price controls. And wage and price controls have been known all the way back to Roman times because they debase their currency and they think the solution is the prices are going up. It's businessmen, too much profits. It's labor. They demand higher wages and they have to be stopped. So wage and price controls have to be put on. But that does not. That's treating the symptom. It doesn't work. It makes the conditions much worse. The conditions don't get improved with it because that's an attack on liberty. It attacks the market. And, just think of the extreme authoritarian society like fascism and communism. That is an economic crime is really, really bad news. You can lose your life over that, but there's always an underground economy. They have to survive, and that's what they do. They need the market to survive and find out how to trade real value. And that is why sound money and allowing the market to determine prices is so important. Otherwise, it has to be controlled by authoritarianism, and that is the sacrifice of liberty. That's where we are today, and it doesn't look good from my viewpoint, except for the people I meet and other people who have radio talk shows that are interested in this subject, that they know and understand that. I think there's a lot of people, in spite of how horrible it looks, are waking up. In 1933, Roosevelt comes in and he wants to print endlessly. So he takes in the gold, steals the gold from the American people, and nobody seemed to care. I'm hoping we're further along now. I hope that, when that day comes, whether it's Mexico, U.S. or Canada or wherever we are, that the people will say enough is enough. I'm not going to give you my gun and I'm not going to give you my gold and you're not going to take my freedom anymore. So that's what is necessary. The people have to wake up. And I think that's what's happening with this lockdown business and the mask and the social distancing. It's erratic right now, but it's going in the right direction. And it finally got to the point where the kids were so mistreated and injured by this that finally the parents woke up and said, no more of this. And they'd go to the meetings, and the people did. So prevailing attitudes and reacting is beneficial no matter how frustrating it seems, because what I've been talking about is very, very powerful forces who control the Federal Reserve and the spending and our foreign policy and all these things. But get the parents awake and say you're ruining my kids. Why do they have to wear masks in schools? And now the evidence is coming out. It hasn't done any good. It's done more harm than good. So truth is what we're looking for.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now let's continue.
The one thing that is difficult for us is Marxism and totalitarianism has a belief that you can't know the truth. It's impossible to know it. So they decide the truth. It's a political and also a philosophic belief that truth is something that individuals are not permitted to have and decide what is true and what isn't. So that is the responsibility of the well-meaning, smart people who become our politicians. And they're the ones who can decide prices and interest rates and what you can do and what you do when a cold virus gets a little bit out of hand. It's up to those individuals, and then there'll be a little bit of an argument over who's preaching the truth about science. But no, I think when the totalitarians, the authoritarians take over, they say they have control of truth. And that is where the real problem is because if you don't obey them, you're in big trouble. So, but even with as bad as things are, I do not think Marxism is so much more popular than it was when we have it in our Congress and all this now. But I don't think it's like when they wrote the Communist Manifesto. That was the beginning of a horrible, horrible period, and it gave us the 20th century. But I think when the Soviet system collapsed, the message was loud and clear, but it was not strong enough because we haven't had an adequate replacement. But I think this sort of last hurrah, I'm saying Marxism is going to answer all our questions. I'm just hoping that there's more of us and people like you and others that will stir the interest of people to understand that liberty is what is important and people can solve these problems, and we don't have to depend on the authority of a few people who have no interest philosophically, spiritually, or anything else that others have any value.
So this move of the Fed becoming more politicized as of late is something that you've written about recently, Dr. Paul. So how has this happened, and how can they use their power to affect a woke agenda?
Well, it's happened because we've allowed it to happen, and the appetite for big government has been very, very strong, and it's sort of like why do people stay at home and won't work when there's jobs out there? And it's because government's been sending their money, and it's actually in a way a logical decision. Well, if I'm not going to get paid anymore, or only a token, I'm not going to do it. So they figure out that getting welfare on the short run seems to be like a pretty good idea, but I think it should be a moral idea because I think it should be considered theft. I like the story that Bastiat tells, that if you and I can't go into our neighbor's house and steal, we have no moral right. We shouldn't have a legal constitutional right to send our members of Congress, our government, to go into that house and take what we need because we need something or want something. So it has to be a moral issue as well as a pragmatic answer.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.